morning. So if you notice on the front of your bulletin, it has our theme for our contribution drive for this year is grow. And it says God supplies the seeds and increases the harvest, and that passage is in 2 Corinthians 9 and 10. Also look down a little below that, it shows that our target goal this year is $100,000. So we're hoping and praying that we are able to achieve the goal so we can continue to do the work that this congregation does. We do a lot of work. We reach out to a lot of different areas and around the world and local. This morning, we're going to have a speaker to us today from Arms of Hope, is Richard Brown. Richard has been in the Dallas-Garland areas for 56 years. He's been there for a while. And in 1965, his family moved here from San Antonio, and he got involved with Medina Home back at that time. So he has been working with them steadily since back in 2000. So that basically puts him right about 26 years where he's been actually working with the Bowes Home and Arms of Hope. And he's been doing work there with them. Of course, he lives here with his wife, Linda. She's a retired librarian from the Richmond ISD. They have 2 kids that are grown, and they live in the Dallas area. So Richard will be bringing us a lesson today. We utilize the Bowes Home facility for our men's breakfast. It's a great facility, and talked to Richard about that this morning, and it's such a great place for us to go meet, and we really appreciate them allowing us to use that facility. So we have a short video that's going to talk a little bit about Arms of Hope, and then Richard will come up and bring us a lesson.
Arms of Hope is a not-for-profit Christian organization that truly transforms the lives of disadvantaged children and single mothers. We change generations by offering hope and a future, by providing food, a clean bed, a safe house, clothing, counseling, case management, and most importantly, the love of Jesus.
On any given day, you will find 250 residents being served on our 3 campuses. And last year altogether, we were honored to minister to 43 single mothers and 96 children on our Bowles campus, 73 single mothers and 143 children on our Medina campus. And on our Refuge campus, 15 single mothers and 29 children. Sadly, all of our residents come from the tragedy and trauma of homelessness, extreme poverty, abuse, neglect, or trafficking. We are honored to walk alongside these children of God towards a better future. And also in our family outreach centers in Dallas, Denton, Houston, and San Antonio, we provide services to 529 adults and 1,073 children in desperate need of case management, counseling, budgeting, and parenting classes. But most importantly, how to connect with Jesus.
Our residential child care program ministers to disadvantaged children's physical, emotional, educational, and spiritual needs in a warm, family-like atmosphere. House parents function as mother and father figures. Residents range in age from 5 to 18 and live in beautiful cottages that they truly call home. Arms of Hope provides for children's basic daily needs, including shelter, food, clothing, counseling, supervision, and education.
I like math because I love working through the problems. I want to make math fun for kids so that they can love math as much as I do.
In fiscal year 2025, here are our educational gains for our residents. 6 high school graduates, 17 GEDs or other educational certificates, 5 associate's degrees, 7 bachelor's degrees, and 1 master's degree, 2,089 completed college hours.
The College and Career Program provides assistance for Arms of Hope high school graduates and poverty-stricken families in our communities with support through college, trade school, or into their first job. This support includes housing, case management, and counseling for graduates who have not yet found a place to call home. Our residents' relationship with Jesus Christ is the #1 priority at Arms of Hope.
I know that before I came to Arms of Hope, I didn't really know Jesus, but now looking at it, I see that was my biggest factor I needed, was that I needed Jesus. I feel like he's with me every day.
Counseling is crucial to help change our residents' lives, and 5,235 hours of individual therapy was provided by our licensed professional Christian counselors We rejoice over 26 new followers of Jesus Christ.
I was really, really sad and down and depressed, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, the little thoughts in my head was so negative, and there was a day where I just cried out and I reached out to God. Throughout that time, I felt like God was telling me to go talk to my counselor. She gives me a lot of good advice. My faith has gotten so much stronger. The things that I've accomplished because of the program, the things that my kids receive, the daycare, the case management, the counseling, it's really helped me a lot to become a better person and a better mom.
Just want to say a great big thank you for allowing me to come to be with you all today. I tell you what, my blood's just pumping good. That good singing is wonderful. Where's our song leader? Where's he? Man, you are one good song leader. And I tell you what, this whole area right here, you got some great altos in there, and you can hear them at it's just that last song. Man, I'd never heard that, and it's just beautiful. Again, thank you all for letting me come. I live here in the Garland area, so I didn't have to go out of town or go stay in a hotel. This was great to be able to come and visit with you. I want to just say a great big, and I wanted to bring this up first. Sonia and I think Bryant's out of town, so are the ones that have coordinated with us the gift cards that you do at the end of the years for our holiday giving, and this church, I think Sonia is the 11th or 12th year in a row, I believe. I should have counted that, just forgot. This church has always, the whole state is the number one, the largest donor church in that program, and we have over 100 churches that actually contributed. There is a church that's not too far from here. It's probably 3 times your size. They didn't even touch half of what you all did. That tells me something. It's not the numbers, it's the heart. And that's what that matters. And I just want to thank you all so much for that. And Brian, y'all do such a beautiful job of that. And thank you for ordinating. The ladies down at the Bowles campus say, oh, we always love it when Buckingham Roads come in. Usually they're just thrown in a bag and given to us. Y'all have it all lined out just perfect, and it's rubber band, and so they really appreciate the hard work you do. And again, thank you for doing that. When I was talking to Bryant about y'all's kind of theme, the 2 Corinthians 9 passage, it just hit me. I told him I was going to tell a story. I was recently over in the Hurst area having breakfast with a guy that's been donating to Arms of Hope, Bowles, Medina, for years and years and years. And I asked him what he did. He said, well, I'm a retired janitor at a school. And I was just asking him his history, and we were going on. He said, Richard, I'm going to tell you something. And I think what he told me sort of sums up what I think y'all's theme, it matches very well, is he said, I never made much money. I have that TRS retirement, and he said, but I never made him much money. But I'm going to tell you something. Seemed like every time I give, something happens, and I just continue to prosper, and it allows me to give more. And he said, I'm not one of these that believes in that prosperity gospel stuff that sometimes you hear on the TV and all that. But he said, it just seems like that every time I give to church or to Arms of Hope or other groups that he gives to, it just seems God continues to bless me over and over and over. And I think that, and I appreciate your leadership taking that stand that, we want to continue to bless others, and the only way we can bless others is if we're blessed, and it makes sense. You know, I think God's way of making things happen do make sense, and I want to thank you all for your thinking. Not everybody thinks that way. Not all groups do think that way. So you have a wonderful leadership here that does, you know, promote that reading the scripture and following it to the letter. I've been asked already once about what's this third campus, and I did want to, you know, there's been Bowles and Medina. We merged together back in the, it's been about 10, 12 years ago. Heads got together and said, hey, we do the same thing, let's put it together. Well, there was a group out just east of Austin, out of Bastrop, Texas, recently came to us, and it was a kind of a religious sort of mind. It wasn't a church run, it was just a morals type organization. They taught good stuff overall. Wasn't church affiliated anyway, they just let you go wherever you wanted to, but they came to us, they were having a lot of problems, and basically they were going to be shut down by the state. And they asked us, would we consider? So after studying it and all that, we end up taking them over. So now we have 3 campuses and they had 15 units, and they built these big units for like one family, 3 and 4 bedrooms. One of them even has, I think, a 5th bedroom. Well, and we got to thinking, you know, 15 units, 15 people, to me that's kind of a waste. That's a little waste of space. So we get an architect in there, and we decided that this is kind of a crude way of saying, put a wall down the middle, add a kitchen, and you can immediately go to 30 families. And so that's what we're doing right now. So we'll be able to, and those are already spoken for, all 30. And so it's a shame that, in a way, I guess, but it's good that because of you and a few others, we're able to take a place and double it almost immediately to be able to take care of these families. And folks, it's our mission, our goal, as you heard on the video, is that it's about Jesus. It's about taking people's lives. 100% of them come to us and they're in distress, 100%. And every case is different. I'd be lying to you, and I'd be lying to you if I told you we're all successful 100% of the time. No, we're not. But we do our best to be able, because you and a few others expect for us to be able to make a difference in those persons' lives, and that's what our commitment to you is to go down. I appreciate this church being willing to go and seeing, like you say, you go down to Bowles' home and you spend time down there. You get to see what goes on in the lives of these mamas and these kids. Love for a group of you to go down to Medina. It's a little further, but it's a different. In a way, it's kind of a different experience. The terrain, everything's different, but we really do appreciate you. In youth groups, we try to get the youth groups in there. The reason we want you to go is really 2 things. We want you to see it, but more important than that, the moms and the kids at that place need to see the faces of those that love them and take care of them. And that's why we ask you to help us be a part of the day-to-day campus life when possible. And we just hope that you will continue to be a part of us on the campuses. To kind of show you what you and a few others, and I say that it is a few others, scheme of things, kind of show you how some of the effect that you've had on these moms. I recently was involved. I'm not a licensed therapist or anything, but kind of the name of the game is you see everything. There is not, and I know, like they said earlier, I've been around Medina. I'm 67 years old, and I've been around Medina Home since I was 5. And we moved up here in 70, and church, the old Garland Road church, we went to Bowles Home 2 or 3 times a month sometimes. And because it was the original, the Pearl and Brine downtown was the old original sponsoring church. And so that carried on. And so been around it for 56 years. So seen both. And there's not a story you could create in your mind and make it as awful as you can make it. And I guarantee you, we've seen it. And just to kind of share what you do and what your involvement has allowed us to take and be able to change some lives. I'm thinking of a lady, her name was Brandy, from this area. And it was 2 Thanksgivings ago, Thanksgiving Day. And I was having lunch with my family, and the phone rang, and a lady said, "Is this Mr. Brown?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, I have downtown Dallas at the, and I'm using someone's phone, and I'm here at the McDonald's by the old bus station down there. I'm sure most of y'all have seen that. And it was raining, and the man I have one of my children with, we had a fight the night before, and that continued on into the next morning, into Thursday morning, and he put me in the car. He was so mad the next morning. He put me in the car. Here, we had nothing. We didn't know what we were doing. We were going, and we're going down Main Street, and you get over there, I think it's Commerce, wherever the bus station is, and he stops, and he gets out of the car, and he opens the door and takes my hand and pulls me out on the street. One of the kids was in the front seat, just pushed her out. The other one was in the back seat, opened the door and pushed him out right on the concrete and took off. And she said he was the father of the youngest child. The oldest one, in the end, I asked her, I said, where is his father? He said, I don't even know who his father is. And I said, well, how did you know to call me? She said, laying on the ground. She said, when he threw me down on the ground, traffic was going by, not much, but there was some. Said, I looked down, and laying it was very near my eyesight. There was a little card, and that was your business card laying on the ground. And I got to thinking, when was I in downtown Dallas? You avoid that if you can. And I thought, I hadn't been in downtown Dallas in years, or probably several months then. Now, I don't know I'm one of these, I'm not a coincidence believer, and I just believe God has his hand in everything. Somehow, some way, that card got on the ground, and I'll let you kind of figure out that. To me, it's just interesting. I think there's a spiritual side to it, but that's for another lesson. So I said, okay, get into McDonald's and get my wife, and we go down and pick those kids up. And again, I don't get involved in much of placement. That's not what I'm licensed to do. But sometimes, you just do what you got to do. and get her into a hotel. It was, everything's closed. So about the only thing open was hotel. Well, of course, everybody tells me you're the longest storyteller I've ever seen. But sometimes you just gotta tell. I want to tell it the real way, the truth, and just want you to be able to feel this, because it affected me too. And 2 or 3 days later, take her down to Bowles and go through the process, and they visited with her, and there was an opening. And we're sitting down with counselors and one of the administrators in charge of placement, and began to tell her kind of what the process is. We believe in faith, and we go to church, and we, on and on, all the rules. She said that, you're expected, as long as you're trying, you can be here. You don't have to worry about a thing as far as bills, and, Christians take care of that. And you'll be required to go to school or trades, some sort of an education. The goal is to get you out of here. There's no such a thing as a set time. We want you to just, on your pace as long as you're trying. But to us, what's more important is that we want you to leave here, and your family, your 2 kids, to leave here, and hopefully one day may know God better than you do now. All of a sudden, she had been so sweet. She had, and my wife just loved her to death, and she wasn't with us on that part, but just as, you would think she would just, would do anything to make everything right. All of a sudden, her face and her eyeballs, I remember her eyes just getting red. And she kind of swelled up, like she wanted to just reach out and hit somebody. She said, "I do not want to know anything about your God." And our counselor said, there's a member there at the church in Bowles Home, said, okay, that's fine. But we're going to love you anyway if you choose to stay. She was, of course, expecting, get out of here or a fight, some sort of. But folks, the look on her face, just, I'll never forget it. It was a scary. I'm not into the, all the amity stuff and all that deal, but there was something there that it changed her whole. And we didn't, we didn't even go into why would you say that. That's for another day. We just said, okay, we love you anyway. Now let me tell you about her now. I think it was 5 months later. Of course, she knew she had to go to church. She got up and walked down and was buried in the watery graves of baptism. They say now she's the finest Bible class teacher for the kids there is. Others that of the grade level that she teaches, the parents that have kids in other ages say, why can't you get her to move down to 3rd grade or 1st grade or whatever they want their kids in? That just goes to show you what the power of the cross can do to someone. We don't attack them where they are. We open up this. and tell them this. And it makes all the difference in the world. What she thought, she didn't want to know a thing about what you and we all believe in, that we know is right. She now probably believes it more than even I do. And the reason that happened is you and a few others allowed some people to just be there to make a difference. Now, Sonia, before we leave, our administrator, that he spends about half and half time on it, a couple weeks at Medina and a couple weeks at Bowles. Christmas Eve night, we got a phone call, and they pushed it, of course, in the evening. It wasn't real dark, but got a phone call straight to the administrator's house where he lives. And this man on the phone said, you've got, where Medina is, if you've ever been to Medina, it's about, you have Fredericksburg, Kerrville, and before you get to Bandera, it's kind of about halfway, and it's a very windy. It was an old goat trail 100 and some odd years ago, and they paved it over, and it's up and down, and you don't get there fast. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to get to Kerrville. It's the closest big town. He said, you've got 1 hour to come get these kids. I don't want them anymore. Their mama, I don't even know where she is. She hadn't been around in ages. I'm tired of them. These 2 boys are driving me nuts, and on and on and on and on. You got an hour, I'm out of here. And if you're not here in an hour at this truck stop there in Kerrville, I'm gone. So they said you hadn't seen people move as fast as when they hung up the phone, jumping in the car, forget the legal stuff, the calling the, we'll deal with that later. You've never seen people. And they took 2 cars, one to go get the kids, and then the other one, they went and grabbed a few of the gift cards left over from the holidays, which if there are any left over, they use them for birthdays as they come up throughout the year. And they grabbed those, and she was just hoping and praying, oh, I hope Walmart's still open. I hope Walmart's still open. And goes to Walmart. That she goes one way, the wife. He goes, and another person goes the other way to the truck stop. And the man had already left. It was a little less than, it took a little over an hour to get everything together. And these little kids, they were, I think, 5 and 7, I believe. 2 boys. They were just standing there, kind of like this. And one of them was crying pretty bad. The other one, the older one, was kind of, I think, trying to hold it. We take those kids, of course, we know the sheriff real good, and he said, don't worry about the legal stuff. We'll deal with that in a few days. Probably legally shouldn't have taken them, but who cares? You gotta do sometimes what you gotta do to make a difference. And when you have the sheriff say, go do it, then we felt pretty good about it. Take those kids. They got them to the administrator's house. The nurse on campus came and called the doctor. They had bruises all over their bodies, both of them. But, so we get them in, get some temporary people to watch them for the night. And the administrator's wife drives up. She had a bunch of Christmas presents. Of course, they weren't wrapped, but she didn't care. She said, I just took them inside the door and laid them there. And these kids, their faces, she said, you should have seen their faces. Crying over, they felt horrible. They had been beaten. I mean, these were fresh bruises. But those gifts made a difference. Not that the gifts are anything, There's a lot more important things than gifts. But folks, I just wonder how many of those, it'd be interesting to know how many of those gift cards were from this church. Who knows? I don't know. But you just never know when something that, oh, I'll go to Walmart and get a gift card. Let me tell you, folks, things like that are important. You never know God's plan, how it's going to work, when good people like you and others that just take that time to try to bless someone else's life. And Sonia, I, again, just want to thank you. You lead the way on that. You are the leader in that. But like I said earlier, I'm not one of these that believes in a lot of hocus pocus stuff, but I do believe God has a way, somehow, some way, that when we try to do what's right, even though if maybe we make mistakes sometimes, He'll take care of that. Because when His kids, and I'm talking about all of us, we're His kids. When His kids are affected, others will step up and take care if they have that heart, if they have that spirit. I could go on all day. We could stay here till the stories in 60 some odd years that I've heard. These are kind of some of the nicer ones. But I just hope that me coming today just reminds you that there is a world out there that is pretty broken. And the only way, I don't care, there's no government can make it better. We don't take a penny of federal funding. We still believe we know how to raise kids better than the government does. And the only way we do, and we guide, we do everything. Use this as the book, the guide. And our promise to you is that we're not going to go to some psycho book and, these are going to be the rules that we follow. And I just hope you believe me that that's what we do. And our pledge to you is that we will continue to do that. I just hope that something said to here may just touch your life, and I don't know, you just never know what God can do. Well, He loves you. I know our time is gone. He loves you. They love you here. If you're not a Christian, maybe today is the day you walk out of here, the water's ready. They'll take care of you. Visiting this great church, it's got a long history. Oh, I was going to say, I think the first time I ever visited this church was back in the 80s, and we were I think you were in the old building, and some of you may remember Willie Franklin was here. And he was preaching on a Sunday night, and if you knew Willie, he got to singing some of those old songs, and the roof was coming off. It was so beautiful. If you remember Willie Franklin, he was here. It's back in, I'd say 80, I don't know, 2 or 3, and I think you were then still in the old building. But this is a great church. They loved it. There's a lot of great history here, good people. If you're visiting, come on, be a part. If you just need the prayers of the church, they'd love to help you there and pray over you. Whatever your need be, let's stand and sing this great hymn, and we'll do